Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm a watchaholic. Welcome to Horology Insanity. What's good, my watch friends? So, I have a lot of stuff in the background, and it might be a lot. It is a lot. However, the overall theme that you can probably guess is, ta-da, NASA. And the reason for that is because I've got something cool that I want to share with y'all. So check this out. My buddy Jay, not the Jay that I talk about all the time on the channel, but I got another buddy Jay who is a G-Shock-aholic. I'm going to call him that. I don't know if he would say that, but he is like a G-Shock collector. I love talking to him about G-Shocks. Anytime I have a question about G-Shocks, he's usually cool with helping me learn more about them and all that kind of stuff. So he's not a local friend per se. Like my other buddy Jay is a local friend. Like we go to lunch and go to watch meetups and all kinds of stuff like that. So this is like a pen pal type of friend, but he is nice enough to ship me some watches. I bought a couple watches from him, and this one, I don't think he's going to sell me this one, even though I think I've offered already. But this one is a custom mod that he had built, and he was nice enough to let me borrow it so that I could share it with y'all and make a video about it. So what we're looking at here, if you saw my last video, you saw a sneak peek about it. And what really makes this mod cool is that it is a NASA mod. Now, he was inspired by the OEM NASAs to try to look at this. And so he had this kind of printed up. This is an OEM module. And so we'll look at that here in a second. Let's get zoomed in. You can see here that that is based off the 5610. I think this is RB. And so it is an OEM module. And this is the same type of mod. Like if you're in the G-Shock community, especially in the Square community or the Casios, you're probably familiar with these type of drop-in mod kits. So you can take the module out of just about any Square, whether it's a 5600 or 5610. They are size different, so you need to get the right one for your sizing. But this is for a 5610. You'll see here, I've got one on my wrist. I call this one the Superman mod. It is an OEM module that I put in this kind of sparkly blue. It almost looks like an aventurine blue kit. And so I want to swap it out. It does have the red keeper. I want to get like a red buckle for it here. So I still got work to do on this one. But yeah, this one is fun. But that's essentially what my buddy Jay did, or at least the guy who built this for him. That's what he did when he ordered this. And so he took the module, plopped it into this case, and then had the bands printed along with the keeper. And so, yeah, so I just want to take a look at this watch real quick. And then I have, of course, my OEM NASA Gs sitting here that I'm going to compare it to. And then in the next video, I'm going to do a follow-up that just like all of my NASA watches, because believe it or not, I actually have a handful. And so if this were in my collection, which it's not, but if this were in my collection, it would go with all those other NASA ones. And I just think that the NASA stuff is cool and fun to collect. So Joseph, if you're watching this, thanks for letting me borrow this, man. I really appreciate it. So with that, the best thing about this watch, and we're about to do the lume check, boom, is the lume. This thing is amazing. Let me just give it a little bit of zap. It doesn't necessarily need it, but let me give this thing a zap. And you can see that the full kit is lumed. So it's the strap is lumed, the bezel is lumed, this side is lumed, and it's painted on. And so when we get that going, man, it's bright. And it looks probably even better in person than it does on the camera, but it is coming across really great on camera. Now you will see back here in the back, I've got the Lume monster. And the reason for that is because I have another Lume modded watch that I want to compare this side by side next to. So let's just take a quick look at that. I keep on my little Lume monster right here this Lume mod that I made quite some time ago. Now I just got this band and bezel off of eBay, and I do not know if this is the same band and bezel that's used on this one. I think this one's for 5600. Let's see here. It's got that. So this one's a 5600, so it is a different size than the NASA mod over here. But they're very, very similar in their overall kind of translucent texture and just with the overall mod. Now, I will say Jay's here is much smoother than mine is. Mine's very rubbery, kind of old school G-Shock. This feels like the newer G-Shocks. So it's really interesting when you kind of get them side by side. I mean, they both loom up really well. So I'll do another loom shot here. And so you can see that they both shine really brightly. But, and Jason's had the auto light on. I don't think I have the auto light on this one, but here's that in the 5600. But yeah, so it's a very interesting thing that you can have two things, but that they're quite different from one another when you actually get them side by side. So, but I really like this lumed mod that I bid, and I didn't have this custom painted. Again, I just got this on eBay. It wasn't even really that expensive, and I just threw this gold module in it because when the whole thing lights up, I think that that's pretty neat. And then, like I said, I just kind of store that here on my Lume monster. Now, the Lume monster, real quick, give a shout out to my buddy Jerry. Of course, I'm not paid for this. I paid for this one right here, but I will give him a shout out because I like to support him and I like to support local businesses. Jerry is called Spectra 3D on Etsy, and we'll put a link down to his store down in the description. But this is what he calls the Lume monster. I've did a whole nother video on this, so we'll link that up in the upper right hand corner. But the Lume monster is awesome. This specific one is the hand painted version. I don't know if Jerry still offers that as an option or not, but I'm pretty sure he still offers both this larger monster, the smaller monster, and a turtle. Now the turtle, I've been wanting a turtle for a long time now. I haven't gotten one yet. So gift idea as my wife edits this video, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yes, but Jerry does some cool stuff. You might want to ask him if he still has the offer to get them printed. These are they're airbrushed, but they're hand painted by somebody that Jerry knows. And so that's really cool. And I went for that option when I got it. But anyway, so that's a shout out to Jerry. Again, this is not sponsored. I just like to mention it because I think this thing is awesome. And I think it makes for a great gift idea if you've got like a watch nerd friend, or especially if you're a Lume junkie, right? Like if you're into Seikos and Zelos and all those that just have great Lume, then that might be an option to think about as, you know, maybe a gift or something like that, or at least to put them onto it in case they have never heard of it before. But with that, let's take a look at this watch. What's cool about it is you can see the negative display. I will say it's a little bit easier to read in person than it's coming across on the camera. And the one thing that I like the most is that it does have the auto light feature. I wear that on all of my watches. I keep it active. The only con that I've heard anybody talk about is that it'll wear the battery down. However, this thing is solar, so as long as you just give it a little bit of sunlight, you really shouldn't ever have to worry about that. Now, it does have the red paint in the protection and the G-Shock on the bezel, and that kind of goes with the little accent of red there. You see it says Tough Solar there on kind of the dial itself. And so I thought that was neat. Now, I will say in general, I'm usually more of a fan of positive displays than I am negative displays. The 5000 series is their best negative display, but in general, I can appreciate that the OEM NASA Gs all came with a positive display, and I personally like that, even though I don't love the functionality of at least the first two. I really appreciate the functionality of these 5610 modules better, and I'm glad that the newest orange one did come with that. Now, you can see down here on this strap, it's pretty plain Jane and straightforward, except for the fact that he has this awesome NASA fully spelled out for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is what NASA stands for. So I thought that's cool. This is very similar as to like what's on the OEM G-Shock here. And last, this is not on any of the OEM G-Shocks, but he had the 12 o'clock side here printed with what is referred to as the worm logo. So this is the NASA logo, and you can see it spans the full thing here. Now, I will say in this instance, the keeper does cover it up a little bit, and so that's why you see me moving it. I can show you one side or the other, but there's no point in this where I can show you the whole printed thing. And so if I were ever making one of these, I might shrink this up a little bit so that you could see the whole NASA down there. Or what I might do is, so that maybe I could see it, I might print NASA on this side over here and then have this printed on the 12. I don't know, lots of options. I'm just kind of spitballing and brainstorming here, but yeah, this is pretty neat overall. You did see he goes with the American flag metal keeper. The original one comes with the American flag, but it's a rubber keeper, and so that's pretty cool there. The metal keepers are, you know, let's just say this, there's pros and cons to them, but in general I tend to like them. I just don't like it when they hit stuff. Standard buckle on there, but all functionality on the watch is the same as all your other G-Shocks that you would think about. Now, what's also cool about this mod right here is that the person he ordered it from was cool enough to include this little box for it. You can see it is too printed kind of with the NASA worm logo, and then inside of it, it just has, you know, a single slot there for the watch to go in. So I thought that was pretty cool, just to have a little something to go with it. I didn't expect that. I know that all the mods that I've ever ordered, you know, they might come with the OEM box that you got it from, like when you're harvesting a module, or a lot of times it just comes in a pod or something, like it doesn't really come in anything. And so when I saw this box, I was like, ah, that's pretty cool. And I didn't know if he had it made or what happened, but he said that was included with the watch. And so yeah, so with that, we'll take a last couple of seconds here. I'm just gonna hold them up to the other OEM one. So see, I've got that upside down. See, here's the NASA. This is the original one, the all white. This is still in collectible status, so it's unworn. There's the tag on it, and most people are familiar with this one. This one tries to fetch a pretty high premium on that. So one of these days, I want to get another one of these if I can find one at a reasonable price that's been worn, and so that way I can have both a worn one and a collectible one. But we've got that here, and then of course I did a whole video comparing all these, so we can link that in the upper right hand corner. But here is the black and white. So this one has been worn. I think I actually have two extra copies of this unworn that are sitting back there in collectible status, but this one is worn, so there's that. And then most recently, my favorite of the whole group is the orange one. You see that awesome NASA logo there, with it printed with the black flag keeper, the 5610 module in this. The orange one is by far my favorite, but you can see here, just you can have a whole lineup of NASA G-Shocks, and the fact that you can look into some custom options, I just think that that's fantastic. So once again, Jay, thanks for letting me borrow this watch. I really, really appreciate it. And with that, we'll see you in the next one, where I'm looking at all of my non-G-Shock NASA watches. All right, my friends, with that, we'll call this one a wraps. Please remember what really matters, and that's not watches. Keep the insanity sane.